But what was it? Why do you think that struck such a nerve?
Well, I've never heard the mom blogosphere unified over a single topic ever in my life until I think that came out.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, in a world where people are always debating about breastfeeding and homeschooling and stay-at-home parenting, that was one thing that everybody seemed to come together on. And I think it was twofold. Yeah, I think people were horrified by the original Wall Street Journal article. And I think in part it was because it had a very provocative headline, why Chinese mothers are superior to other mothers. So you know,
they knew what they were doing when they wrote that.
Yeah, I think that kind of, you know, shapes your understanding of the article. But I think it's twofold. One is I think that some of her suggestions are very uncomfortable, that, you know, the opposite of success is coddling, and it was sort of an attack on what we do. So I think in some ways it's a defensiveness of the way we parent or the values that we have as American parents in general. But I think some of it is also the fear that deep down, what if we're doing it wrong?
Well, you've been hearing a lot. Well, actually, before I ask you about that, about Nurture Shock, why do you think this book struck such a chord? I think it was, some people felt like, and I know this has been written, this is hardly an original thought, but gosh, maybe she's onto something.
Right.
You know, maybe some of her approaches might be better. Maybe we've gotten too far away from discipline. Maybe we're too much trying to be friends with our kids. Maybe we've become too permissive because of guilt, because we work so much. Hi. So, I mean, do you think there were some valid points in some of the things she was saying, and people were kind of thinking, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong?
Well, I think what was interesting, I mean, the vitriol that was directed to her, but the book's still a New York Times bestseller. The fact that people were angry about it weren't keeping them from forwarding the article or reading the article. And that, I think, does tell us that people are wanting to say, are we overpraising? Are we protecting kids too much? And I think that's a valid conversation to have. But unfortunately, I think that the idea that we need to be, you know, strict and order kids to do things at all times, there doesn't seem to be any support in the scientific literature for that approach. And I think it's actually a red herring in some ways. I think one of the reasons that the Chua book got such attention is because about a week earlier, the Shanghai math study had come out and found that the Chinese kids were blowing the roof off of math tests. Everyone said, oh, well, see, if you're abusive and call your kids garbage, your kids will become math geniuses. I don't think people who read the book are actually saying, yeah, I need to call my kid garbage. But can we expect more is, I think, a legitimate question.
But I think some of the backlash was also that she kind of struck right at the core of American values, even beyond parenting, which is this idea that the pursuit of happiness is somehow illegitimate or less important than the pursuit of achievement and success. And I think that's so ingrained in our culture that we deserve to be happy and we deserve to have self-esteem, we deserve to feel good about ourselves, that it felt like literally a very foreign attack on our value system.